Redux with React and TypeScript. So let's configure the Redux ones. So to start, I will close the others here and I'll close all of mine. As we are working with TypeScript, first we need to install the Redux JS toolkit with React Redux. And to get the typed version, we need to save that the types React Redux. So this will guarantee that our VS Code can read all of the types of Redux. So I'll install here React Redux. Okay, it's all installed. Let's create inside the source another folder named store. Inside of it, we get the store.ts. That's great. And now we will replace our count that uses the use state for the Redux one. And how do we do this? So let's do this. In your new file star.ts, we will export const store here. We configure store and do this import here will be automatically by the VS Code. So we create a new reducer here. The reducer is like my states, but I can create many of them. I will create a counter here. I will create a counter reducer. So other reducers can be added here. For example, if we create users, I will explain later how it works. Okay, export type root state. We need to guarantee that all the states can be inside a provider. So we will export the type root state, return type. This will guarantee the typed return of the Redux store dot get state. And here we'll export type app dispatch. Type of store.dispatch. So it's just a type that we can return here. Just to easy use our TypeScript here. So let's create the count reducer. For creating this, create another folder called features. And inside the features, we create the counter slice. It will contain all the functions that we need to modify this variable from Redux. Okay, so let's create an interface counter state, and we would just have a value type it as a number. Okay, and the initial state of this slice, I will type this counter state, so we can guarantee that the value received is a number. So initially it will be 0. Now let's create a counter slice that we will put here. Counter slice. Create slice. This will import from Redux Kit, so this function is already created. So we have all the configuration here. You can put any name, or you'll put counter, the same name of what does it means. It's just a counter. The second one will be the initial state, that the value is 0. And let's create the reducers here. Inside here, what we can do is for changing then. So I will do the increment function that receives a state. And that will increment +1 in the, so value will increment 1. The second one we will call decrement. So let's do the state here. It's the same thing. State.value. So minus here. We will decrement the value. Let's create another one with parameter for you understand. If you need to put a parameter in the reducer, you can create increment by amount. So we can create +5, +6. We can do everything here. So we can put state action. It's a payload action. Can payload action number. So we receive a number here. So the payload action, I think, with this, okay, it's the imported version for Redux Sketch again. And here, state.value will increment action.payload. So we will get the value and increment the action here, the payload of the action. If I put 5 here, we increment 5. If I put 6 here, it will increment 6. And that's how it works. But here and here, let's do the export the value. So we will export here all the functions of the counter slice. So we have the increment, the decrement, and increment by amount from counter slice dot actions. All exported. So we can do this in every part of the application and export the full counter slice dot reducer. So now we can import here on the store TS. If you add missing function declaration, not counter reducer, import count reducer from. So the counter reducer will be from the features that you created. Features counter slice. Now we have this here on the main. As we created a context, we need to create a provider of the context of the theme. For dark and light, we can create a provider of the reducer, of the Redux. And here, let's create on the main TSX. And let's create a provider of React Redux here. Children needs to be all the application. So this will be here. On the store, we'll put the store here. I can just import store. It's the counter and the reducer that we created here. So now we can use Redux statement here. On the FTSX, I will exclude the count. And I will exclude these buttons here. Now, how we can use the count from Redux here? First, I will create right there, Redux. I will put inside of that on const count. Use app selector. State count. Let me import this. Oh, so okay. We need to create the hooks counter. It's counter. It's counter. The dispatch we use to change them. Dispatch. Use app dispatch. Let's create these two ones to use here. We'll create another folder here called hooks. And inside that, let's create an Redux hooks. .yes. So inside the Redux hooks, let's create and let's export type. Sorry, export const. Use app dispatch that we created here. So it will be a function that returns and use dispatch from React Redux. It will import and automatically here of the type app dispatch. This app dispatch, it's from our store here. So we can use typed returns like counter. You can add some on another thing here. I will show you here. So, okay. And another one was app dispatch. So we can port here the hook and use app selector. Let's export this to export const, use app selector and typed use selector hook. it will be imported from React Redux. And the type root state on store use selector from React Redux 2. So now we can import here. So state.counter. If I created any of them here, like other type number, okay, and here we can state.other type, and it will be added here. It will guarantee a good architecture for your code. So that's why we use TypeScript. Okay. So to use this here, instead of use the use state, I will put 3 buttons here. So for the count dot value, okay, now the count is the Redux value here, and well, let's put a button that will increment npm run dev. Let's run again. Okay, increment. To increment, we will put on click a function we'll call dispatch increment. Okay, it is incrementing 6. So let's copy and paste and do another button decrement. Call decrement. It's importing automatically here on counter slice. Okay, so we can decrement, and let's do another button that is called +5, and we will increment by amount. And I will put 5 here because I want to add +5. So here, we can add +5 here. That's how we use the Redux to inside a provider and use globally in all applications. So you can use this hook here in another component, and this will get the same value. If the value is like 100, it will be 100 inside of the application. Okay,